Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. Mining Weekly editor Martin Creamer joins me today to unpack the latest in the mining industry. Welcome, Martin.
Thanks, Ashley.
Can you tell us about Anglo American Platinum's Smart Power project?
Yes, this Smart Power project was called that at the recent PGM Industry Day. They had a panel and they were discussing it, and they spoke about your smart power. Well, we haven't heard it described that way many times before, a few times, but what we really talk about is the hydrogen project. This project that they've got at Mogalakwena, where they want to produce renewable electricity. They want to then generate clean green hydrogen with the excess of that electricity, and then they're going to start off with a 300-ton truck. And in third quarter next year, it looks like this is when this will happen, which is a great achievement for Africa and South Africa, Limpopo province, because it's taking us into the hydrogen age, which is so important. We see it all over the world, people moving into this. And we've been looking at this for 12 and a half years. You know, we've been working on it. We've had institutions, we've had skills developed, we've got PhDs, we've got things ready, but suddenly the world is getting ahead of us. And this sort of activity that we see from Anglo American and Anglo American Platinum will set us off into a forward position again. And once that big truck has gone through its paces and it's successful, they'll have more trucks. And once they have more trucks, the rest of the world will have more trucks. And if you can get rid of those 23,000 odd diesel trucks, it's going to create a huge new market. It's going to help the planet because they're emission free. And a lot of these mines are bogged down by emissions. And they are committed now to getting rid of those and to decarbonizing. And this hydrogen, the green hydrogen project, will help them to do this. And we see it really moving ahead nicely at Mogalakwena.
And Implats is also moving ahead and is in testing phase of its stationary hydrogen fuel cell.
It was several years ago, we went out, journalists, to the refinery out at Springs. And Naledi Pandor was then the Minister of Science and what is now Innovation. And what they launched was a fork truck that was driven on hydrogen. This isn't green hydrogen, but it was on hydrogen. So it was still the beginning of this hydrogen age, and the use of the fuel cell and the use of platinum group metals in that, and the fact that all the staff loved this fork truck because it's so quiet, because it's got no emissions. And you don't want emissions in a situation. I suppose you can have an electric one, but it's still, you've got to charge it over a long period, whereas this was a quick charging. We saw the charger. We also saw their plans to have a stationary fuel cell there to generate electricity from hydrogen for use within the refinery, a large megawattage. Now we're finding that they've actually progressed with that, because the platinum industry went through a great dip and people couldn't do this sort of research for some time. Now it's going through a wonderful new upward momentum and people have got cash again, so they're starting to look at it. But the big news was that fuel cell that they're now using, not in the forklift truck, which is going around the place and doing its job, but the one using for stationary electricity generation, that fuel cell has been produced in South Africa. Now that is a massive step forward we knew nothing about. So these things are happening fairly quietly. Hopefully we'll do a national step forward. Instead of you see in other countries little pockets of activity. We need to have the hydrogen society roadmap and to move forward and step forward together. It'll be very powerful for this country and for the continent, and it will mean that we can use our sunshine to the full advantage. We can use our wind to the full advantage. We've got available land. We can then use the excess of the renewable energy to produce green hydrogen. We can use that green hydrogen very effectively because hydrogen you can store for a day, a month, a week, a year, anything you like. And lying there in that hydrogen is electricity. Because you then can take that hydrogen and you put it into a fuel cell. The fuel cell turns it into an electric driver. You can have mobility or you can have generation like we're seeing now at Implats. But they are saying they need a lot more hydrogen. So it'll be interesting to see what they do because they're getting that hydrogen from Sasol now. And of course, it's the side of Sasol that uses gas. So it's certainly not green hydrogen. I don't think it's even blue hydrogen because I don't see, so it's definitely grey hydrogen, and they'll need to move to that green. So, and they can do that. There's sun out there. They could start generating their own solar power. I don't know about the wind, but they could get that gap that they need to fill of more hydrogen coming through. Then they could do a lot more on that site at Springs. It could be a sort of a model for people to follow, because they've also given 16 hectares of ground to the Gauteng province, and the Gauteng province is meant to set up a special economic zone there, so you can start attracting foreign investment. They can start doing something in South Africa, you know, building the membranes, all the other components that you need for successful operation of hydrogen mobility and hydrogen stationary power.
And lastly, two-part modernization is underway at Amplats Amandelbult mine.
Yes, you know, conventional mining, I think, is on the way out here. Now, often we associated conventional mining with deep level mining, and you just assume that, okay, at deep level you've got to mine conventionally. But what Amandelbult is saying, they've got a two-part plan here, where in the existing operations, deep level mines at Amandelbult, they will not have conventional mining. They'll have new mining models that use new tools and use new equipment. It'll be interesting to see exactly how that works, so that it becomes more efficient, it becomes safer, and safer from all aspects, including, I'm sure, you know, people's ability to breathe. So hopefully there won't be diesel under there, and but safer in the way people have to negotiate their drilling and blasting. So we'll see exactly what they do there, but it's going to definitely be a step up, so that you won't be able to call it conventional mining anymore. It will be a modernized version of underground mining. Then in new areas, they will do a mechanization. So you've got modernization on the one side, you've got mechanization on the other side, because it's very difficult to actually mechanize an existing operation. But if you're going into a new area, particularly if your reef is not too narrow, and they're talking about a 1.2 meter high, 900 millimeter to 1.2 meter high, they will not even need ultra low profile equipment, but low profile equipment, so that people will enter there on wheels in a vehicle, underground vehicle that's low profiled, and instead of crouching down for their drilling, there will be a mechanized way of drilling, and I'm sure a mechanized assistance with the blastings as well, because you can do all sorts of IT input, and information technology these days can be applied all over the place. Artificial intelligence, I'm sure they'll try. They haven't said that yet, but that will be a mechanized area, so you'll have this combination. And I think that underground mines are going to be the way of doing things. I know that, you know, mining companies love to go in, they love to dig a deep hole, and they don't want to go underground. They like an open cast, and where they can get away with that, they will do it, particularly when they're close to surface, because it's far less costly. But these days, you know, people are saying you're ruining the environment there unnecessarily. We don't want to see you guys. If you want to mine, get underground. And I noticed that when I was in South America and Chile, you know, I was at this big open cast mine, and people were protesting about it and saying, you know, we don't want you to do this. And the mining company concerned was saying, okay, well, we've got a new plan. We'll go underground. And they can always go underground, particularly when you see a big hole like that. They could have gone underground from the start. And we noticed that Master Drilling, in their report, they do work in 23 different countries. It's a company that's listed on our Johannesburg Stock Exchange, based in Fochville, but they do a remarkable job in 23 countries. And they were saying the big focus now is going underground, even though you've got these benefits of being, if you open cast, you've got a cost benefit, and you've got maybe other equipment benefits. People are saying you've got to weigh that up now against your ESG obligation, your environmental, social governance obligation, and particularly on the environmental side, you've got to watch out. Those impacts are not going to be tolerated by the communities. They don't want that. And so because the social side of it as well, saying, you know, why are you coming here and messing up? So the indications are that there will be a sort of a predilection to go underground in order to comply and bow to this ESG, environmental, social and governance, which is dominating the investment world. If you don't bow to ESG, the investors move away, they go somewhere else. So you've got to really take that into account. It is 3 big letters that are up there now for everybody to see, and it's having a positive impact.
Thanks for speaking with us, Martin.
A great pleasure, Sashmi.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis on the local and global mining industries. And don't forget to listen to the audio version of our Mining Weekly daily email newsletter.